Welcome to Abstract University. Today's module is on overcoming objections. Becoming a successful sales professional takes a desire to learn proven selling techniques, and one of the most important skills to learn is how to overcome objections. But before you learn how to overcome them, you really need to understand how you view objections. Do you see objections as a brick wall, the elephant in the room, something you need to knock down, break through, or scramble over? Because if you do, there are answers that you can use to power through objections. However, that approach often becomes a battle, and as you knock down the first objection, the prospect is already thinking of another one, building a wall taller and stronger than the first one. A better action is to reframe your view on objections. So when I looked up overcoming objections, I went to the dictionary first. And I think that when you look at the definitions of overcome and objection, combined, they're in direct conflict with what a salesperson actually needs to do. So, per Webster Dictionary, the definition is overcome as to defeat someone or something, to successfully deal with or gain control of. Objection is a reason for disagreeing with or opposing something. Now, making a prospect or client feel defeated or controlled is like a guaranteed way to assure that you're not going to get a sale. So when you and your client disagree on a topic, your goal is not to defeat them. It's really to re-educate them. If you look at the definition of re-educate, it's to teach someone to do or to understand something in a new way. And when you start re-educating prospects and clients, you've enhanced their perception of you as a consultant versus a salesperson, and in many ways, you empower them. So when you provide a prospect knowledge that they didn't have prior to your discussion, you're giving them the perception of empowerment. You're providing insight, giving them something else to process that they didn't have prior to your discussion. There are a couple of critical components to re-educating a prospect or a client. One of them is asking good questions that provide a very thorough understanding of what, why, and how they develop their current perception of the topic. The second one is learn to listen and listen to learn. Most salespeople listen only for the opportunity to talk again. Great salespeople listen to learn what they should talk about. So if you segment your conversation into 3 different parts, there are different types of objections you'll get in each part of that conversation. So the first part is the introduction. Quite frankly, you've got about 30 seconds in either a presentation or a follow-up discussion to grab someone's attention. The second segment of the conversation is really content delivery. It's the meat of your presentation or follow-up discussion. And the key is to ask great questions and then learn to listen. And you listen in order to learn. Most prospects and clients will provide a path if you just listen to learn what's important to them. And make sure that you're sharing conversation control. If the control of the conversation doesn't flip back and forth between you and the prospect and the client, I guarantee you're not asking open-ended questions. And the third segment of your presentation or discussion is really the close, where you will need to recap the prospect-based benefits, what's in it for them, agree on action items with due dates on both sides of the conversation, from you and for them, and confirm what their decision process is and the next steps that you need to take. So let's take a little deeper dive into each segment of the conversation or presentation. So the first one is the introduction. If you hear objections during the introduction phase of your discussion, you're probably not hearing objections. The responses often sound like, I'm too busy to talk right now, we're not interested, we already have that taken care of. All of them usually are followed by click. The person just hangs up on you. The responses they give are usually vague. They're also very difficult to overcome because they're not real objections. So you only have a few seconds to grab someone's attention. In most cases, what you hear in the introduction phase as objections are not objections. You may need to add a little bit of wow to your introduction. So let's get into the second segment, that content delivery. Most objections in this phase are statements, typically in response to either a question or statement you made, but most salespeople miss them because they're just listening for an opportunity to talk again. But the objections in this phase are typically more specific in nature. The person starts to question the content that you're discussing, and objections may also identify suspicion. So listen to learn. You cannot re-educate people until you understand what their current perception is and what factors they used to come to their current position on the topic. So the third segment is closing. And most objections heard during the closing phase are either ones that identify content that's still under suspicion, or they're what's referred to as BANT objections. And BANT stands for budget, authority, need, and timing. And again, you cannot re-educate people until you understand what their current perception is and what factors they used to come to their current opinion. So when you talk about BANT objections, essentially the concept was created by IBM. And before you can re-educate someone around a BANT objection, you really need to understand the core of it and where it comes from. So it's not as easy as it looks. So budget, it could mean that they just doubt the value or the ROI they're going to get from your service or product. So no matter how much it costs, it's not worth it. And it could also be related to a real limited financial resource. The same with authority. Most people tell you they are the person that makes the decision until it gets time to make the decision. And then you learn that you're simply not talking to the right person. Or you may have either misinterpreted or not asked about the prospect's decision process. Need can come in several different forms too. Again, it could be wrapped around value. If they don't see value to your service or product, they're not going to think they need it. Or there's a selling style called PUMP, which stands for the price of non-compliance. And it could be they don't fear the need to change or switch to your product and service. And then timing can be a couple of different things too. So it could mean that they're currently under an agreement and they're going to tell you it can't be terminated, although I've never seen a contract that doesn't have an out clause in it. Or there could be internal changes that are outside of the prospect's control. So for the remainder of this module, we're going to include statements from our calls. And after the sample is played, I want you to follow the instructions below. So after each one, pause the module and think about a response that you will have to either enhance your understanding of the prospect or client's comment, or you need to say something that would pique their interest in continuing the conversation with you. Once you kind of have that thought in your head and where you would take the conversation, go ahead and restart the module and go to the next statement and repeat the process until you've completed the module. Listen to this comment that was made while we were calling for one of our commercial cleaning clients and think about again how you would respond to either enhance your understanding of what the prospect or client just said, or how you would respond to pique their interest in continuing your conversation.
We don't really review them. It's just, we're happy with them. We'll keep them around.
So there's never just one correct answer for each individual. Depends on your style. So there are a couple of options. Would be, what inspection process do you or your vendor use to ensure that your office is properly cleaned? Or we have clients that feel the same way about our services, but We learned a very valuable lesson several years ago. We had this client that had been with us for years, and what happened is our long-term relationship led to complacency in both our pricing and keeping our services competitive. And that's why we encourage our clients to get a third-party sanitation analysis. It ensures that we stay on our A game and always prove that we're best in the market. When was the last time your vendor suggested that you go outside and get a third-party assessment? Now listen to this comment that we heard while making calls for one of our IT partners.
An ongoing need, IT issue, but it's not, I don't have any need right now.
So there's never just one answer that fits everyone. But think about how you would respond to that statement to either get a better understanding of that situation or to pique this person's interest into continuing your conversation. A couple of options could be, well, we specialize in partnering with companies like yours that have an internal IT staff. If you could get one of those ongoing IT issues off your plate, which one would it be? Another option could be, I enjoy talking to companies that understand their IT infrastructure is important enough to keep some of it in-house and outsource aspects that are either outside of their scope or slow down their team. But before we get any further, let me make sure that we're even a potential partner for you. What type of things do you outsource? And then another one could be, wow, it's obvious your IT infrastructure is critical to your business. What types of products do you see coming up in the next 3 to 12 months? So this next audio clip is also from calling on behalf of one of our IT partners.
I took over this organization about 7 months ago. We're still trying to get our feet on the ground, trying to figure out where we're going with this, trying to see where our budget's coming in, and kind of just a holding pattern at this point.
So think about how you would respond to that comment to, again, either enhance your understanding of his environment or to pique his interest in continuing a conversation with you. Now, there's never, again, one answer to everybody, but a couple possible responses would be, congratulations. What did you do before you got this position? The conversation at that point can open up to what previous vendors he used, why he left the company, what was their process to decide on who to partner with. Another option, again, could be congratulations. I'm sure being the new guy makes it difficult to understand what needs you currently have. What's the process you'll use to prioritize your needs? Or you could simply just ask them what types of projects are on hold. So we'll bounce back to commercial cleaning, and this is a comment that we heard while calling on behalf of one of our commercial cleaning clients.
Yeah, well, you can always shoot me an email and I promise I will contact you when something comes up. Get me started on it.
So shoot me an email is one of the quickest ways to get you off the phone. Some companies are truly interested, and some are just trying to get you on the phone. So think about how you would respond to that, again, to understand their situation or to pique his interest in continuing the conversation with you. A possible response, and I personally like to kind of call people out on that, is, sometimes when people ask me to send information, before knowing anything about our services, what they're really saying is that they don't have an interest at all. They're just being nice people and they don't want to hurt my feelings. So I don't want to waste your time or mine. I'm an industry professional and I'm going to be okay if that's the case here. And then pause. Let that uncomfortable space be there and let them answer. And if they answer with they want information, then that's fantastic. Let me send information that I know will pique your interest. What kind of services are you looking for? An answer could be, not a problem at all. I need to ask you a question to help me tailor the literature to your specific needs. Or that's exactly why I'm calling. But I don't want to send you a copy of War and Peace. Let me ask you a couple quick questions to send you information that's specifically addresses your needs. So this is the last call in the module, and again, it was a comment that we heard while calling on behalf of one of our IT partners.
We're under contract with the company that we outsource to.
Actually, this is one of the objections we hear quite often, and this is where some people will use filler words, like by saying, oh, that's fantastic, or oh, great, but then we don't go in to why that's fantastic or great. So you could try these responses. That's fantastic. We specialize in partnering with companies that realize their IT infrastructure is best managed by professionals. What kind of things do they do for you? Or you could use, I take the opportunity to learn from each person I talk to, and when I learn what people like about our competitors' service, I can make sure that we offer our clients that same service. So, what do you like most about the service they provide? Asking that question really sets you up for the question you want to ask, which is, I also learn what not to do for our clients. If there was something about the service you currently have that you would enhance, what would it be? Your other option is just to ask who their provider is, wait for their answer, and ask when their agreement is over, but then explain why. So before we take on any new partners ourselves, we spend a lot of time with them prior to taking on any projects to make sure we have a great fit. Thanks for participating. If you took one thing away, it was a win. Have a great day.